to DJF Live. This is episode 76, and on today's show, we're going to be unboxing some of the gear here that has been piling up on my desk in the last couple of weeks, and I've been meaning to do one per episode, but we're going to get a bunch of things out at the moment. So on today's show, we're going to take a look at the OSBOT Tail Air. That's what I have here. Also the GL.iNet Puli AX and the Blackmagic Cloud Pod. Some of these were sent to me, some of these were purchased with my own money, and we'll also take a look at some of other gear that I've bought. Some of it's just sort of entertainment stuff and also some firmware updates. So we're gonna also have the Sonos Era 100, the iPad M4, keyboard and Apple Pencil Pro, Canon C400. I'll give my thoughts on how that fits into my RF ecosystem, and firmware updates with the tracking for the Canon PTZs, and ATEM firmware updates. So there's plenty to cover on today's show. If you are in the chat, give me a heads up and hello. Great to have you here, Vicky and Nils. Good day to you too. So if you have any questions as we go along, make sure you drop them in the chat. Can be related to what you're seeing here on the unboxing, but also anything to do with live streaming, photography, video production, anything that's caught your attention. Drop that in the chat. All right, so to kick things off, let's start with looking at the OSBOT Tail Air, which is a 4K PTZ camera. Now I got one down here that I got out of the box, and I've got a couple of these still in the box, so we can do a bit of an unboxing here. OSBOT kindly sent me 3 of them to do a review, so they haven't paid me for this. But I did receive the cameras from them, so I'm excited about this mainly because of the VISCA in it. So being able to control these cameras over many ways, but one of them including VISCA. So let's just jump into this shot here. So this is what it looks like when you open it up. There's a little starting quick start guide, which as I was going through that, the one thing that was missing was the Wi-Fi password. It showed you like where to go to join the Wi-Fi app, but the password is 12345678. It comes in this neat little bag here. And what I like about this is very portable, and the case makes it easy to transport with. My Canon PTZs don't even come with a lens cap, so I'm always trying to find a way to sort of protect those lenses when we transport them to a job. So these ones are particularly nice because they are, just gotta jump back over here, small and easy to transport, and also have this protective case. So in the case, you're gonna get, where are we? You're gonna get a USB-C A to C adapter, which is this one. And also going to get a little adapter here, which is a USB-C sort of double adapter, and then a USB-C to USB-C cable. That is basically what you have in the case, and a little protective screen on it. So that's what's in the case. They were able to send 3 to me, which I was very grateful for because I'm excited to add a few more camera angles to the studio here. And we can take a look at, what have I got? Let's go back to a wide shot here. And I've got one that I've set up here, and I'll just bring that one in. I'm trying to see if I can get a relatively consistent angle. Let's go to camera 3. So this is actually the angle, and by default it's actually auto tracking, which is pretty good. So I can lift this one up. I think it holds it pretty well. Make sure everything is in. So I would obviously, to match what I have with my other cameras, I need to put this up on a tripod and sort of frame that up. Not the main difference, but I'll do a sort of more deep dive on this, but I've only had this to play with for about 24 hours. And my initial impressions are the connectivity in these things is amazing. There's so many different ways of connecting, from UVC webcam, HDMI out, which is what I have at the moment, the NDI, which you have to pay for, which is fine because it's a license and at least you don't have to buy that if you don't need it. And RTMP and SRT streaming. So there's a ton of sort of output, but also control-wise, it comes with a, I'll find it in here. Ugh. Also, well, it doesn't come with, but you can, there's an option to get a remote control here. So you can, have I got this? I got to turn it on. It was inverted, this switch. Let me see. Select the camera, and then have I got this turned on? Maybe it went flat. There we go. Turn on. Maybe I need to repair it. It was connected and working yesterday. Oh, there we go. It just takes a little while to connect. It's a Bluetooth remote. So the remote looks like this. It's a little bit funny with this edge here. I'm guessing this is to connect to a monitor. Maybe there's some sort of monitor adapter that goes onto this because it kind of looks like the bare bones of a battery sort of side thing. It would be kind of nice if there was just a plastic insert to cover over that. But you've got the sort of the joystick around and get out of backwards. Also, if you press and hold the joystick button, the remote has a gyroscope in it. So I'm holding this down, and now I'm moving the remote but not clicking on anything. So that's kind of neat. And along here, you can select 3 different cameras and 3 different presets. So I could go to my preset 1, which was in here, preset 2, which was randomly over here. All right, there you go. There's the rack. I actually haven't lined these up, but on here. And then I think this button on the side here does like a person tracking. So that's pretty neat. And what else is there? Let me see, cut back to here. Let me just run through my notes here of what I thought about it. So the connectivity that you'll get on this is great. It also comes with like iPad and iPhone and Mac and Windows applications, so you can bring this up on sort of screens. Like I said, there was sort of a Visca control. Let me just see if I can bring up OBSBOT. I'll run through their page here. See if I can bring this up here. There we go. Okay. Let's go over to this one. All right, bring this one in here, something for you to look at. So that is not the right one. It is the Tail Air is the new one that we're looking at here. It's essentially kind of like a webcam. So it says 4K, but the zoom in it is a digital zoom. So it's got a 2-axis gimbal for a pan and tilt, and then the zoom is going to be using a 4K resolution up to 4 times digital zoom. So by the time you're punching in that far, you are losing resolution. So, I mean, if you want to position the camera at its full wide angle and like move cameras closer to a subject, you could keep the 4K resolution that way. But if you need to zoom in, then you're probably looking more like a HD in the event of it. The auto tracking, from my very brief looking at it, looks pretty well. It actually feels like it follows my face and does a good job there. It is really nifty to be able to put this anywhere around a stage, you know, because it's got a battery in it and because it can be controlled over Wi-Fi and it can send NDI. You could put this somewhere where you can't have any cables. And so I think that's a really interesting use case to be able to get, I don't know, a drummer in a band, or just like something in a place where you wouldn't otherwise be able to fit a camera. Like the Canon PTZs that I use are sort of the smaller size, but you know, the N700s or 500s, they're really big PTZs. They need a lot of power, a lot of connections. So I definitely think there, even in a professional production, there could be places to use this sort of camera as sort of additional shots. Probably not as the main shot, but there's a lot of flexibility there. I'm excited for my studio to be able to put these cameras around to be able to show you equipment and different shots. And the great thing about PTZ cameras is that once you set up a shot, you can actually get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots out of a single setup angle by recalling different presets rather than just having one shot that's locked off. So it's NDI HX3. It's got the smart remote controller. Spin through here. This is some of the footage. Footage looks good it's on a wide angle, so it really depends on where you place the camera. Like I was saying before, if you're trying to zoom into some of these things, you're not quite going to get that resolution. It's got a time of flight to help with focusing. What else we got? Tracking. And it's got animal tracking, so it's got human tracking, and it's also got animal tracking and object tracking. Here's an example of a cooking show. Everyone seems to love cooking shows to demonstrate. And sort of like an AI director's cut, so you can jump between different parts of a frame. And what else? So many ways to live stream, all the platforms, NDI, RTSP, micro HDMI, UVC, RTMP, and SRT. And what I particularly like is, so there's a Stream Deck component for it, like the actual Elgato Stream Deck stuff. NDI and OSC, and then Visca is what I really like for what I do with Companion, because it means that in a pinch, you can actually fire up some keys. So I have on my Stream Deck here, I'll just move this fella out of the way. There we go. Can create some buttons here. So let me see if I can, what shot should I pull up here? Let me pull up number 3. Is that connected? I don't know if it is connected. What am I doing here? Oops, I'm pressing the wrong button. Hang on a second. Camera 3 is on air. There we go. Shot. There we go. I don't know what I'm doing there. Pressing the wrong button. It's got the AI tracking still on, so it sort of keeps on coming back to that. I'd have to turn that off. But I can basically zoom around until the AI thing is like, nope, we're going back. And then I've also got the, where are we, overhead here? The presets. I realize I don't have these in the one composition. But so we can actually recall presets through the Stream Deck. And what's nice about that is, if we come back to here, is that I can automate it into a show. So it's like these cameras can actually sort of be integrated into production with other switches and lights and audio and other PTZ cameras. And they can be part of a run of show. And there's also a neat setting in the camera for that it will turn off when you turn off the power on the USB connection. So where that's nice is in a studio setup, because these have batteries in there, they could potentially just keep running. And so when I shut down a studio, it's nice to be able to put them on a circuit with something like where are we? Just like a Wi-Fi plug is how I run some of the lights and that kind of stuff in here. And these TP-Link Wi-Fi plugs in particular can be combined into Companion, and so you can basically switch things on and off within Companion. So that's where I could have build it into the studio so that when I come in, I can power up the whole studio, and when I leave, I can power down the studio. Sorry. So that's nice, and I feel like there's a lot more of a professional workflow that we can sort of build in there. Emmanuel wants to know, how does it perform in low light conditions? I would say pretty well. Let me see if I can find my phone and bring up the app somewhere in here. So in here is the OSBOT start, like this, and I've got it connected to my studio's Wi-Fi, so I can just jump into here, and I would say the latency is pretty good. I feel like the latency between the camera and the app is, I mean, I think it's pretty instant. I think you'll get a little bit more latency when, if you use the, what is it? Like you're streaming to a computer and then you're using the virtual camera. But in here, I think I can turn auto. Hopefully you can see all this. So this is what the app looks like. You can go in here, change the settings and SD card, SRT settings. With the output, when you, in the media settings, if you change the 4K recording, like, so if I try and set HDMI to 4K, it's going to say it can only do one thing at a time. So if I'm recording NDI, RTSB, SRT, or HDMI, you can only do one of them at 4K. So at the moment, I've got it set up to be HDMI out is at 1080, and then if I want to record, that's in 4K. So we'll go back here, VC, face and autofocus. I need to go back to, so on the app, you can sort of long press and then drag around like this to sort of find your focus or find your point. And let me see if I can bring up here presets. So again, I can use my, I was trying to show you the camera angle and recalling different presets over Visca. And that also means, you know, you could tie it into other commands within Companion, which is nice. Low light is like, let's see if we can get, let's swing this one around, show you my messy background back here. Oh, how's that for, that's like in the dark. And it picks it up pretty well. I said the low light's pretty good. I don't have any sort of exact photometric test for that, but it would be good. I think the main thing to note about the optical quality seems pretty good, but it is sort of a wide angle that's similar to like a webcam. So like I was saying before, you really have to think about your placement of the camera because you probably want to zoom in as little as possible, is how I would say that. What else we got in here? We have auto tracking. So let me see if I can, is that right? Auto tracking. Nope. I'll go back to the, where was the zoom? I think you go like, obviously need to play with this a bit more. Crop, is it? There we go. No, there we go. What's interesting on this crop, and I could probably show you on, let's go to multi-view, multi-view 2, multi-view 1. So my multi-view, there's a lot of stuff going on there, but I just wanted to show you, so the output 3 that you'll see, this is kind of what it looks like when you zoom. So you'll see the output in box number 3, but then on the actual app, you're always seeing the full screen there, and it will show you sort of where it's zooming to, which I really like. I think that's an interesting way of zooming, because it gives you a lot more visibility of like where you're going and what you're trying to target, like that. So I think that's neat. Let me get back out of this, and so many different things going on. All right. Vicky says, I think you get the NDI license when you buy the bundle. Yes, you do. And oh yeah, if you buy the bundle, it's in there. So if I can just see the pricing, we go, okay, so let me get this one up and super source. If I go buy now, is that right? Buy now. There we go. So a single camera is going to be $400, and then you can add on things like an NDI license for $99. I think it's good they've done it this way because, you know, then you're not saying, oh, it's a $600 camera and then with NDI in it. It's like, if you don't need it, you can sort of save on that cost. Although some people probably look at that and be like, $99 for another license, which is, everything's got a license these days. The other things that they have are this USB-C to Ethernet adapter, which looks like this. So this is really neat because it can have come back to this one here. So basically you've got USB-C into the back of the camera, and then you've got about 6 feet or something into a PoE Ethernet, so you could get your power from a switch this way, and then there's also USB-C for power if you want to get that in instead, and then Ethernet for NDI or streaming, as well as control and all that kind of stuff. So that's really neat. So that's the USB-C adapter, and then the controller for about $80. Otherwise, you can get the multicam combo, which is the one that don't think they've sent this. They've sent this one to me minus the license key, I think. But in there, you would have your license key for the cameras, and so it depends on what types of production you're doing. I mean, at the moment, I've got it hooked up via HDMI into a converter into SDI, going into the Toomey Constellation HD, because that's kind of what I'm doing all my switching in there. But that's a really nice package for a 3-camera sort of podcast shoot. You could go a long way with 3 of these cameras, and it's got auto tracking in each of them, which compared to Canon's single license for tracking is $1,200, but we'll come to that in a second. Is great value. So I would say, like, optically, it's probably, it's not going to be the same as the Canon camera. So like what you're looking at here is a Canon C300. The Canon N300, getting my line of cameras mixed up, versus the, let me go over here. This is the webcam. And like I was saying before, some of that depends on the angle. At the moment, it's just sitting on the desk. So if I raise it up and I position it in a certain way, then that goes a long way to making it look more like a composed shot rather than looking at sort of a laptop. I can see I've got I'm doing some weird things on the app here. See if we can zoom all the way in. Okay, so you can see this is like 4 times zoom, and you can probably see that it's getting, there's my, is it this side? No, it's this side. From Colette. It gave me some war wounds, so I got a little scratch there. But you can see that sort of digital sharpness that is sort of coming in at this point with the zoom. But if you're doing social, then it doesn't really matter, does it? Like, people, by the time they're watching on a small screen, I don't think they're not always that discerning. And particularly if you're supplementing other cameras with this camera, I think it can actually look really good in lighting conditions. Obviously, I'm in a sort of studio setup here, so the lighting's maybe a bit more controlled. But it seems to be holding the exposure well, and sometimes, and I think that's because I've got the face tracking, the face exposure turned on, so it's sort of exposing for my face. Sometimes you're in those sort of studio or like on stage type environments, you can have your subject with more light on them than the background, and that's where it can look a bit washed out. So I feel like the colors and the exposure is holding up here, which is nice. Couple more chats here. One from Berlin, Germany. Great to have you here. Nils says that's what I use on my luggage. The camera. I'm not quite sure if you're talking about that or something else. And Nils says viscous support was just announced for their UVC to NDI adapter box, which is pretty interesting. Oh, that's cool. So they also make, I haven't seen their, I was thinking of HDMI, that's what I was thinking of. Accessories, all accessories. Let's see if I can pull this one up. I was thinking of this one. Oh, India, here we go. So that is Visca's coming to this one, which is nice to be able to sort of pass that through. So good things ahead. It's nice. I think what I'm also looking forward to here is having a couple more camera angles, as I was saying before, to supplement things, and I think it'll help me sort of rethink through how to put this studio together and can give you more angles of things so that I can show you gear from different angles and cut to that. Previously, I've been running 2 PTZs, which is my main one, which is going to give me like, you know, this shot into sort of like something on the desk, or I don't have that handy here. Where is it? Or sort of coming into a close-up type thing, or else I've got the sort of overhead shot, which can go from showing something up close through to like a wide shot of the desk, sort of show you everything. And where it gets tricky is like, you know, if I want to show you something in the rack and that kind of thing, that is over, where did that go? I had a rack somewhere. Let's go back to the camera. It's not a shortcut here. So that's over there. As you can see, it's obstructed, so that's where I need more cameras. And that's where I think getting one of these cameras is going to be nice to be able to sort of get into different angles. All right, that is the OSBOT, and more to come on that. I'll do more of a sort of complete overlook on that as I get the time to do that. Bert, great to have you here from Spooner, Wisconsin. That's a great name, Spooner. I like that. Lots of spooning in Wisconsin. Excellent. Marco says, hey, from Austria, I joined a bit late, but what is this OSBOT quality over what we're having? Sorry, let me read it up close. I joined a bit late, but what is the OSBOT quality over Wi-Fi? We're having regular meetups at different locations, and it'd be awesome to use them with Wi-Fi. That's a great question. It's really clear. I think there's maybe a little bit of latency that is not too bad for web stuff, but it's starting to get a little bit noticeable. Let me see if I can, how would I do this? Let's go here, and I'll bring up, they have a Mac application which you need to download from the website, and then Windows one too, which is OSBOT Center. Hopefully this is on the right page here. So we can connect like this. And so now you can see there's the whole sort of panel here, and you can pin it so it stays on top. I can start a recording from here, and I can take photos, and I can stop a recording, and where is it? Video preview, here we go. So, so if I go again for, where's my phone? So that's probably the latency that you'll see. In terms of the quality, it looks nice and sharp. Like it looks, I mean, it looks like 1080p over Wi-Fi. It's probably enough that you would notice it. What I like about this center application is that if I close this down, you can actually turn on here a virtual camera. So if I type in QuickTime Player or any sort of UVC application, you know, like Zoom or Skype, or does anyone use Skype? Zoom or Google Meets, and we go to new movie recording. There we go. So this is choosing amongst my list of virtual cameras, so or just, you know, UVC cameras. OBS virtual camera I've got in here. That's another virtual one, which would show me this kind of thing. So that's kind of what it would look like if it's not connected to the center one. I've got a Logitech Brio, my FaceTime camera, which is off, and then the OSBOT one. So again, that's kind of the latency, but the application is pulling that in here, and that is, if you want to look at the lip sync, you know, if you're on a video call and you're chatting with someone, then that's the kind of lip sync that you could expect. But the clarity, I think, is great, so that's nice. Again, one of the things I love about this camera is just the amount of connectivity that there is. So if you wanted to, you could take this camera, put it into UVC mode and just use it as a webcam, or turn off the webcam because you can't do it at the same time, and use it more in a production environment, either as a single camera. You could live stream as a single camera, or you can bring in multiple cameras, and which is what I want to do a bit more of, and sort of build that into what I can show you here each week. And then you sort of got a more like multi-camera studio environment. So I think it's very flexible. I think the image quality is great for the price point and what it is, and also the limiting factor of the sort of wide angle lens, which is, I think it's around about 23 millimeters. But that's what we're looking at, but more to come, more to come. All right, let's get back to here. And because what's the time? 2:30, and we got to jump on to a bunch of other things. Marco says, thanks, short follow-up. Can we have multiple cameras active at the same time? You can, and I think, I can't remember which app. I think they have an app for it. I'm not sure. I need to look into that more, but yes, you should be able to use multiple cameras at the same time. I've got my, keeps on zooming in on my face. I think this camera has gestures or whatever. I don't know. It has different like locking. I think this is like lock onto me, and then it'll, I don't know. Anyway, I'm looking at this like giant thing in my face. It's like zoomed in right here on the screen. So that's where I'm like, whoa, okay. All right, what's next? Let's take a look at part 2. GL.iNet Puli AX, a router for the road. So I've been a long fan of GL.iNet routers. I've made a bunch of videos about them and how they're very transportable, and you can put them into racks, and even just for your personal travel, it's been great. I mean, I have one that for a period of time I had sort of connected to the nanny cam, because you know nanny cams these days always need to be on a Wi-Fi thing, and it's a pain to reconnect it on to Wi-Fi. So just sort of take the whole router with me when I'm on the road, so that we could even just use it locally and don't have to sort of stream over the internet. But from a live streaming point of view, they've got a bunch of routers that have been really great. They reached out to me for some, what do you call it, like product research type thing. And as a thank you for that, they sent me the Puli AX. So this one looks really cool, and I'm kind of keen to, actually I haven't even opened it yet. I'm keen to sort of build it into a mobile rack. So they haven't paid me for this one. They also just sent it to me, so I don't actually have to like make a review or anything. But I'm just excited by the features on this one. Let's go back to overhead so we can see what is going on here. Yeah, so got my other camera happening down here. Running out of boxes. All right, so this is what this one looks like. Let's get started. Some manuals. It's a bit of a chunky boy. So this is similar to another one that they have. I think it's the Spitz or something. I should click on this link, and let me just pull up some web pages for you. Let's quit that one and play iNet. Here we go, and make this one full screen. All right, super sauce. Here we go. So it's a Wi-Fi 6 5G cellular router with a battery. That's kind of what makes this particularly chunky. But you can see on the back here, it's got I guess that's like a plate, which comes preloaded. Probably have to take that off somehow. But that's kind of the unit there. So this is like the unit, and then you've got the battery, and you can also buy a similar version of this, which has just the router itself. But what's neat about this is that it has battery, it's got a cellular modem, it's got 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, hence all of these antennas that are sort of coming out here. So we've got dual SIM, single modem, a built-in battery. I really like the idea of this built-in battery because I think if you want to relocate or you're moving around, I mean, it's probably built for sort of RV vans and stuff like that, but in a live stream environment where you are maybe out on the road and you're moving even within a location, I think the battery would give you an extra sort of fallback if for some reason you're switching power or you're running off battery and that goes out. So it's just a nice little backup to have there. It's got 5G in it, so it's sort of built in with that. But you can also fail over from Ethernet. So you could have Ethernet plugged in here, and if for some reason that drops out, it could kick into the modems there. So, and it's just also the antennas. Let me see what else we got here. Where are the antennas? I think I must have pulled them out over here. Just balancing some stuff. Oh, all right. Just playing Jenga over here. So under here are all of the antennas. What else we got? We have a Ethernet cable, and then we've got these kind of look like popsicles, you know, you break them off in the summer. And so we've got some Wi-Fi ones and some cellular ones in there. So what's nice is that you could sort of install them separately. So you could have like this in a rack, and then the antennas sort of going elsewhere for better reception. Or I think what I'll probably do is build a rack with a switch, and then this will be sort of sitting separately to it so that it can be placed somewhere with good Wi-Fi sort of range and also 5G, and then I would run a cable from here to land to the switch. So this would be probably more like a freestanding device than it would be a one that's sort of built into a rack. But it's a good form factor for being in a rack as well. If you, as I was saying, want to have this like in a rack and then the antennas sort of coming out of it so it doesn't get stuck there. Okay, remote access. Their backend's pretty good in terms of the cloud and sort of what the internals of the router looks like on a web page when you're looking at that. So we have these the specs here, you know, compared to their older one, which was, you know, 100 megabit Ethernet. This one's up to 2.5 gigabit, which is great. Faster processors, storage. It's an AX, so it's a Wi-Fi 6. Lots of stuff going on. Built-in battery, dual SIM. You notice Michael was saying eSIM support would be great. I guess so. I mean, I just moved, when we moved apartments recently, I went over to Verizon for the Fios, and I moved my cellular as well. And so now I'm using eSIM on my phone, but that's with cards, you can kind of switch it out more easily. What do we got? WAN, USB, MediaTek. Power consumption is 14 watts, so it's not that much power. And you can contact the sales people. All right. Back over here. Where are we? So I need to do more of a sort of look into that, but that seems like a very capable modem. It's got a bit more chunk to it than some of the other ones I've got. I can't reach a bit. I've got a barrel or something sitting over there that's not plugged in. But that to me looks like a nice modem for wireless, sorry, for like live streaming on the road when you want to have all of your network settings set up, so you can set up all of your companion control and that kind of stuff. All the devices have the same IP addresses, and then you can get to location and you either just plug in Ethernet into the router to get the internet through, or if for some reason you don't have that, then you can use 5G or other things like that. Oh my God, where am I gonna put this stuff? All right, down there. that is the router. All right, next up, the Blackmagic Cloud Pod. I'm just working my way through my list of things here. So if you have, if you're on my mailing list, this is what you're looking at. We've still got the Blackmagic Cloud Pod, Sonos, iPad, Canon C400, Canon PTZ, and the ATEM firmware updates. So I will try and power on through that. Let's get something in there so you can see what's going on. All right, so the Blackmagic Cloud Pod, if you click through here, it's on sale at the moment. That's probably part of the reason that I got it. It was originally about $400 and now it's $215. I was interested in it for, and this is something I purchased with my own money. I was just interested in experimenting more with a cloud workflow with Resolve. So I've been using this with Resolve and trying to sort of do the proxy thing. I find with anytime I move media in Resolve, it regenerates proxies. So I feel like I'm getting more and more proxies, but it's the direction I'm going. I feel like a lot of things are going this direction of network storage and network cameras and all that kind of stuff. So it is the future, and this is a very cheap and easy way to get into that. So basically, if you're not familiar with this, you plug this into your network. So mine's sitting over there. This is the box. Looks something like this. So it's got 10G internet, Ethernet, and then the USB. You can have 2 USB disks that are plugged in, and they appear as NAS drives on your network so that anyone on your network can connect to it. The disk speed, the bus speed is 5 gig, and the 10G Ethernet is 10G. So it's, you're probably a little bit limited there, but if you are using 2 disks at once, I guess you could maybe saturate it. And then there's monitor out, which I don't really love the sort of graphical display that they have, but maybe it's sort of useful. But it's sort of an easy way to get cloud storage onto your network. I was interested to see that in the ATEM updates that they've had recently, they actually they say that you can, on the ATEM mini line now, you can have cloud storage. I haven't quite figured out what they mean by that. But given that this is like $215 for this device, I wonder if for $300 you could get an ATEM Mini Pro, which basically has the same sort of USB drive that you can plug into it and network connection, albeit 1 gig instead of 10 gig. So it's maybe not something you'd edit off, but it could be sort of a part of the workflow. I'm just sort of interested by that, but I haven't yet in the firmware update seen a way to get the ATEM into the cloud store directly. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. We'll come to that in a second. So that's just been a interesting sort of part of the workflow, because I feel like a lot more of, like the SMPTE 2110 sort of network video is definitely more and more what is the future of video production. So that's sort of interesting to me. All right, let's jump back over to this one. Let's get rid of this one. What else? We'll jump through the Sonos era. This is probably a little bit off topic. It is tech. It's not really like professional live streaming. I love having good music and good sound, and the Sonoses were on sale. I think they still are up to Father's Day, something like that. So I have a new set of Sonos in the house. So previously, I've got like Alexa, and I've got Sonos in pretty much every room now. So in our living room, and I probably should do a video on this at some point, but with the living room, we've got the 5.1 Sonos home theater projector type thing, voice activated, screen comes down. that's pretty fun. We had a Sonos one that was now put into the nursery, so Coco now taps the play button and gets whatever was last in the queue. I'm waiting for the day that she learns to say Alexa, because she'll start ordering something or playing songs. But so for our bedroom, needed new sound, and I got 2 of these, and they're pretty good. You know, they were like good range, good bass. So we've got that, and then we've got a Alexa Dot in the bathroom, and I also got a. I think I have something. I mean, I know I have something coming for Father's Day, but it's going to be this one for. Okay, so I like Sonos because it's just nice to hear. But I was trying to work out like how do I justify buying a Roam, because I like the idea of being able to use that and go to the park and listen to music, but I was also thinking like I don't really need it, and I like things being used across multiple devices, as you can probably tell with my like hybrid shooting with like, you know, the RF lenses going across video and photography. And so this Sonos is going to sit in the bathroom and it'll be connected, and that'll be good shower music or like the daily in the morning. And then when we need to, we can take that on the road, and it's waterproof, so sort of belongs in the shower. But that's Sonos. This one's on sale. The other ones were, but I like them. Recommend them. I think they were good. Okay, another sort of it's still on topic, I think, is the iPad. You would have seen the iPad Pro. I did go out and buy, and again, this is like with my own money, the iPad M4. Apple is not sponsoring this, which, can you imagine if they would? That would be crazy. So I should have brought it. Well, actually, the reason I didn't bring it is my old iPad was a 10.5-inch iPad Pro from like 2017, 2016, and it was getting slow at opening a web browser. And for what I'm doing with Companion, like I need a web browser that's fast enough to be able to, like, you know, do things on here. And then also from a production point of view, really wanted USB-C and some of those things. So I went out, got the new iPad, just got the basic one because I don't actually use the cellular in it. And also got the keypad. Let me just move this out of the way here. Keyboard is, I feel like you have to get the keyboard because there's so much functionality there that you would miss out on otherwise. So this snaps on nicely, and also it's got power, so you can plug in the back here and treat it sort of like a laptop. What I think they don't really talk about in the Apple demos is that even though this iPad is really light, and they go, oh, it's the lightest one ever, the keyboard is so heavy. Like, it's like once you fold it up and do that kind of thing, it's you know, it's a full-on like mini laptop. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. But it is handy. I like the small form factor, and I'm using it even in my day-to-day work where I can have sort of like a whole nother system up here with like the calendar or notes, or I can be like editing on my big system, and down here I might have like Google Doc notes that I'm referring to. So it just gives me a little more screen space, and it's not like it's in a different controlled environment rather than like the computer having to, I don't know, reboot and all that kind of stuff. I haven't opened this yet, but this is the Apple Pencil, which I wasn't going to buy, and I didn't buy initially. And then this week I was like, all right, I have, there we go. There we go. I wonder if this just connects. Let me see here. Does it pair? There you go. Pairs. Continue. Continue. Try writing. Hi. Cool. Yeah. Add pencil. I don't like that it sits on the top, because I feel like when you're walking around, that's gonna fall off. I kind of wish they had figured out a way to have it locked in here, like on the inside of the spine, but you know, it is what it is. And the main reason I got it, other than just liking tech, is director's notes and drawing up diagrams. So to be able to like mark up things and do camera plots and that kind of stuff. So that was my justification for that. So I'll move to the side. But otherwise, you know, a little bit too much money on Apple Gear. All right, continue. I just got to get this. Okay, just like it's just go away, go away. Oh my God, it won't let me. I have to finish. Blah blah blah. Okay, yes, got this. Add it. Now we're done. It was making me go through the demo. There we go. 36% battery, what it ships with. Network change detected. Couple more questions. Random Air One. Did I say that right? It will be interesting to see what you think of GL.iNet. I use a couple of slates. I was a little behind on the stream. Welcome, great to have you here. Yeah, I bought 2 slates, and I was actually I'm still sort of running them to control the Wi-Fi switches that I was showing you before. So that kind of in the studio, that router's controlling that. And I've got 2 barrels, which are actually still fine. I just I don't know why. It was the new thing, bigger and better. And then this one has a lot more stuff in it. So I think for like the battery and the cellular will be interesting for the road. Where are we? Marco says the ATEM shows up as network storage with a new firmware, and you can live load the ISO file into Resolve. Yes, I was gonna. I'm working my way down the list. I was gonna get to that in a second because it's gonna get out of order. I think what I was saying before was, and I know you can mount the ATEM sort of through the Finder on the Mac, but then it being built into the cloud storage, it wasn't quite there. And this is what I'm saying. Like, according to their software update, you can sync it with the Blackmagic cloud service, but I haven't found a way to do that. All right, next one. Let's go over here. What's the next one? C400. Oh yes. That was probably the big Canon announcement, and I've got nothing in my box down here. Let's put a Canon device down here. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that I shoot Canon stuff. Photography, video, it's always been Canon. I had all of sort of the EF glass, and then as the RF mounts have come out over the years, I've transitioned all of my glass across to the RF, and I bought 2 of these R5Cs for photography and also for video, and they have been mostly great. I think the main downside of something like this, let me just come down here. Main downside of this as a cinema camera is, I mean, some of the obvious things like audio and like the power being over USB-C. So that's been like, the quality is great out of them. I think the main thing with this is like some of the form factor on the production side. So not so much what the client sees, but for me as the filmmaker who's like packing a kit, and there's a lot of little bits to put together in this to sort of make it a cinema camera. That just takes time, particularly when you've like broken it down for photography and sort of build it back up. So I'd never bought the C70 probably because of the crop sensor. I kind of like working with the same sensor size so that the lenses just kind of correlate rather than sort of cropping in. I don't know if that's silly or not, but so I've got the C200. I still have a C200. I actually need to sell that. It's been just on my list of to-dos. But so the C200 was the last kind of cinema camera that I've owned, and I skipped the, I don't know, C300 and the 500, probably because of their price point, and also because they were EF mounts, and I really want an RF mount. And the C70 didn't really like the form factor of the, large DSLR. I would rather just have like a DSLR type body. When they announced the C400, let me come back to the site. When they announced the C400, it's got my attention. The $8,000 is pretty good. I mean, it's probably $2,000 more than I'd like to pay, but it's still a good price for it and the amount of stuff in there. And it's got the full frame sensor, RF mount, so you can adapt to other glass if you need. And I think I had two pet peeves with it. One was the audio. Where is it? Let me just open this up. Where is the audio? Here we go. So on the back, they've got these mini XLRs, so you need an adapter to go from a mini to a regular size XLR. I mean, I get that it is smaller and that's great, and because I love small, but it's also just it's a pain. It's like one of the compromises on the R5C is having to add adapters into things for audio, and I think if you're doing run and gun stuff or sort of small corporate stuff, it's really nice to be able to just plug it straight in. And so it's kind of annoying. The other thing I don't like about this is just the screen size, like the 3.5-inch monitor. Like, I like the USB-C connection. I think that's great. But it's like, we're going to have to go buy a third-party monitor that's like 5, 6, 7 inches big. And this is probably not going to be used. And I just think if they'd made a 7-inch monitor, that would have like knocked it out of the park, and you would have everything in the kit. So, you know, there's a lot of improvements here with the handle and all that kind of stuff, because the monitor, like repositioning things on the C200 are always this big plasticky thing, and it's very bulky. But there's a lot of form factor here that I think is good. May or may not get this lens. I don't know. And the mounting and the batteries, all good things. And this would potentially fit into my ecosystem, like, because I was sort of holding out for a RF cinema camera, and I think this is probably, at some point, I will buy it, you know, but I don't have clients who are like, why aren't you shooting on this camera? And like, by the time you sort of build up these cameras anyway, they can look big and bulky and all that, and, you know, matte box and whatever, so it doesn't look unprofessional, and the results are good, and it's very flexible. So being able to use the R5C on gimbals when you're working with that all day saves your back a lot, or your arm if you're doing the, you know, mono. So it just like it's very flexible, and I particularly like the live aspect of this. Where is that? Again, I've got to look at the back end here. The connectivity here, so it's actually got like an Ethernet port on the other side, I think, around here. Where is that gone? Ethernet port. You can see it over here, I think. Like Ethernet there. And so this camera will have the XC protocol and will work alongside the PTZ cameras that we just did the maneuver here. So that's all the same protocol. So that is it's interesting. That's my thought on the C400, and you know, at some point I'll probably get it, but I don't think I'll get it out of the gate. Like, I'm not going to pre-order it. I think I'll wait. I'll see what more is out there. Sorry, in terms of like reviews and sort of that kind of thing, and then maybe at the end of the year or the new year, depending on just sort of, you know, where to put that expense into which financial year, sort of wait for that. But I think one of the main reasons I would buy the C400 is the ease of having everything in the one unit rather than having to sort of bolt on extra batteries and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. All right. What's next? Firmware updates. Oh, speaking of the XC protocol, we have Canon just announced that they are, let's bring something into view here. They are bringing out on July 1st a PTZ firmware update for the N100, 300, 500, 700. In here is going to be most notably free auto tracking light version. So all Canon PTZ cameras are going to have tracking, which I don't know if my little friend down here is still tracking. Maybe I can cut over to this one. The little OSBOT, if I just double tap. Oh, no, I think I'm on the wrong thing here. AI, auto. Are they doing it? There we go. There we go. So given that like these OSBOTs, for $500 you get the camera and the auto tracking, whereas Canon cameras range from $2,000 to $10,000, and then you have to pay another $1,200 for the auto tracking license. I think that's where. Still got me? You got me. Oh, we're moving fast. There we go. That's where I think that'll be a welcome addition to what we have. Let me see. This is working. It's just, sorry, a line of sight for what I'm looking at. What I'm saying. There's a whole new wave of PTZ cameras that are coming out that just have tracking in it. And so I think some of these higher end camera manufacturers, old school production, they know that they need to have this as an offering. So it'll be interesting to see what the light version has. I think sort of even a basic version of tracking would be very useful. The thing I found with the tracking app for Canon that I've used so far is that there's so many levels and layers to it that like it tracks you, but you have to tell it so many things that you might as well have someone there sitting on a joystick controlling the camera, you know. So like it for the AI or like the automatic part of it, the camera needs to kind of do the work. Otherwise you're sort of manually doing that. Yes, let's go over to back over to here. Okay, what else we got? We've got improved low light for 100 and 300. So this camera will be interesting to see if that, I don't know, bumps it up to the 500 kind of quality. We shall see. And better zoom and focus and some remote control things. And July 1st is when that is coming out. So that'll be cool. All right, last one, and then we'll take a couple questions and wrap up because we are at top of the hour. If you do need to go, you can go. It's understand. There's things that you need to do in life, and I need to go pick up Colette. Oh, the joys of having a child when you've got to go do things. So let's go to the last thing, which is going to be the ATEM updates that have come. Version 9.5 brings quite a cool range of things that we've been wanting to see for a while and have heard rumors of. So down here under ATEM live production switches, we'll just scan through what we've got here. So this is for the ATEM Mini and Extreme lines, not the non-pros. So it has to be like a pro or an extreme. So ATEM Mini Pro, ISO, Extreme ISO, the SDI Pro ISO, SDI Extreme ISO, those ones. We're adding SRT streaming support, which is great because everything's sort of moving that direction. So it's good to know that these devices will still be current. This is what I was saying before about adds the option to sync recordings to the Blackmagic cloud. I don't know what that means because, like, for example, if I click on Cloud Pod, I don't actually have a disk plugged in at the moment, but this is where you can see the Cloud Pod. You can do the setup, the cloud sync, so you can sync your services, and you'll see the storage. Show in Finder, which that's over on my other screen. I don't actually have it plugged in, so it's not going to do that. So I was sort of half expecting to see under the ATEM setup for the pros that there would be some sort of cloud thing that would be in here, but it's not. So I don't know if I'm misreading that. But for example, one of the nice updates, if you have an Extreme or a Pro or SDI Extreme ISO, like I've got here, is it's very easy in this ATEM setup to just go show in Finder. And this is, again, opening up in the which one's this? Oh no, here it is. So I got two screens going on here. And it will mount a drive like this, like a network drive. And then we can see what we have going on. So for example, this is what we're currently recording with a long ass name. That's a bit too long. So everything has this long ass name. And these are the files that, where are we? As Marco was saying, it just shows up in the new firmware, and you can live load the ISO files into Resolve. So this is these files are like live loading. So this is my program record. So we can relive the fun journey that we've been on for the last hour. And I won't go into this now. There's other, probably need to do an actual dedicated thing for it. But these files, basically you drag and drop them into Resolve, and then in the cut page, which is Shift 3, then you can use that incoming file as a live replay. And then someone should show the workflow, not of just like getting it in, but then the play out of like what you should connect it to. And then when you're playing it out, how that syncs to selecting channels in the ATEM for the loop going out. But that's very handy. Again, I was sort of expecting, if it says that adds network, where are we? Option to sync recordings for the Blackmagic cloud. I was sort of expecting that would show up there, but it's not. But maybe I'm misunderstanding that. So there's a login. Oh, there's a login button in the ATEM control software under output record. Interesting. This is where I can learn some things. So we can go to the Extreme has a drive connected. Stream, record. What am I doing? Output. Wait, what did you say? Login button ATEM under output record. Oh, maybe I mean in the switcher output. Output record. There we go. All right. There you go. You learned something new. Thanks, Niels. That is good, because I was looking at the back end. I was like, what are they talking about? Sync to Blackmagic Cloud. Interesting. I'll have to play that with that more, but that's good to know where that is. So I'm guessing, yeah, I guess that kind of belongs where it should be in the software control, because you've got the drive connected, and then this interface is looking directly to that drive, and then it can back up into the cloud. So that makes it really, really handy. So thank you for that. I was wondering where that was. All right, last bit. Live editing, we talked about network storage. We talked about option for borderless multi-view. That just means, let me see if I can get number 12. What have I got my return on? What am I doing here? I'm going to my return. Here we go. Hopefully this won't be, so this is my, I guess all weird. This is my ATEM Extreme. The view of the multi-view coming back from the ATEM Extreme, that's then going into my 2ME mixer and into my 2ME Constellations output. I think that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on there. But you might notice under the, where is it? So under the gear icon, under multi-view, there's, now we can turn borders like on and off. So you can do like a clean output with no borders. I guess that's maybe for editing if you want to output that. You can also change the color to anything you want, and you can change a lot more of like the text and the audio meters, and the sort of putting on guides that are either vertical or horizontal or both, like that. I'm just going to turn this one off. Get back here, get back to something safe. Yeah, so there's some of the new things. Sorry, find my page again. There we go. Multi-view colors, labels, general performance, and stability updates. I always like that sort of vague type thing, because who really knows what that means, but that covers a lot of things. Jesse, good afternoon from Redlands, California. Good to have you here. Jesse says, I've been playing around with 9.5 firmware and I'm really liking the network storage and that it creates, but does anyone know why some states ask for login info on the storage? I'm trying to remember with that what I did. I can't remember if I just hit enter or like, I might have just gone through it as a guest. But if you have that thing pop up here, like when you're mounting a network drive, sometimes it'll ask you for permissions, and I think I went in as guest or something and there wasn't actually that much security. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I can't. So, all right, we've gone a little bit over, but hopefully that has been useful. There's a whole bunch of, I've got a lot of homework here, a lot of things to do with getting this gear into shape and cleaning up this office and getting things organized. Having a child has given me a lot less time to do some of these production things, and so I'm just trying to like get all these things done at once. But hopefully that was helpful. As I mentioned before, look out for more OSBOT stuff coming up, because they'll probably be just like in my live streams week to week as we go. So that should give me more visibility into what we're doing here and just more options. So yeah, excellent. Thank you for joining. If you want to find out more, davidjoshuaford.com is where you can go to join my newsletter and know when live streams come out, which is often on a Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, but not always, because some days baby things happen or jobs happen, shoots and that kind of stuff. But I do try and do once a week. But until next week, have a great weekend and I'll see you then. Bye.